Carolina Luna is a visionary photographer, speaker, and founder of Goddesshood, a transformative movement dedicated to helping individuals reconnect with their divine feminine energy and embrace their truest selves. With over a decade of experience as a professional photographer, Carolina has a unique ability to capture not just images, but the essence and power of the women that she works with. Through Goddesshood, Carolina creates sacred spaces for healing, growth, and connection. From intimate circles to immersive workshops, her mission is to inspire others to step into their authentic power and align with their highest potential. Her work seamlessly blends creativity, spirituality, and empowerment, making her a dynamic force in the world of personal and collective transformation. Please welcome to the stage, Carolina Luna.
Thank you, Tiffany. Hello, everyone. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been faced with making a major life decision? I'm not talking about if you're going to put sugar in your coffee, but things like, who am I going to marry? Am I going to have kids and when? Am I going to switch careers? Maybe I'm going to leave my corporate job and become an entrepreneur. Or maybe, what's in it for me now that my kids are out of the house? What's my purpose in life? So about 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, my cognition was shut. I couldn't make a decision. It was so foggy there. It was so foggy to the point when I went to a gas station to pump gas. I go in and pay for the gas. And before I knew, I took off with the hose still in my car, so I just drove off. The lid from the gas tank fell off on the side of the road, and there I am, scrambling, looking for it. And I knew something was really wrong with me. First of all, I was crying every day, and that was going on for about 2 months now. And back a year ago, that's when I was in really great shape, and I could understand what was going on with me now. I was super fit at the time, and I had actually built up the courage to tell my husband I no longer wanted to be married. And what happened from that point on, things started to shift. As we were discussing our divorce and having to make some major decisions, what are we going to do with the house? Who's going to keep the kids? And me thinking also, wow, it's a lot. That's going to be on my plate. It's a lot of responsibility. I had a big house. My kids were, 10 and 8 at the time. And I was very terrified. At that time, my business was booming. I had a portrait photography business in my basement, a boutique set up. But then, after all these things, I started to build a lot of anxiety and I started getting depressed. Although I was very happy with the decision for the divorce, which was my choice, it was my initiative, I wasn't feeling good at all. I was concerned that day when I just took off like that from the car, and sometimes I was driving around and I couldn't remember where I was going. And then a friend mentioned that perhaps I should check for something else. I was already going to the path of holistic healing, doing all kinds of treatments, psychotherapy, yoga, meditation, kinesiology, you name it. I was going on YouTube for hours at a time looking for answers and learning a lot. Actually this whole situation started putting me a little bit more in touch with my spirituality again, because I found myself very disconnected. Through all this testing and looking for solutions, I realized that I was experiencing heavy metal poisoning. At that time, I found in my bloodstream heavy levels of mercury, cadmium, aluminum, and arsenic, causing early onset Alzheimer's, symptoms. I was so scared because now, imagine I had to kind of take care of my kids, a big house, have a business. I knew, because I knew other moms that were single moms, that wasn't a life that I wanted. At that point then, the divorce papers were ready. My husband and I were ready to sit down and talk about it. But we realized that I couldn't go on with that. We decided to stay a little together. These are the things that I learned though. Through my discovery, I realized that oftentimes as women, we tend to become very disconnected and lost in our roles. It happened to me. I came from Brazil by myself. I sold my car and came here to America to have a career. I jumped into a corporate position where I ran 11 portrait studios as a district manager. I trained photographers in photography sales, customer service. I got married and my life completely changed to motherhood. And then I was again faced with another major decision. In this process of healing myself, I started going to nature and I made some friends at the yoga studio, and my yoga teacher became my buddy, and we started hiking very often, and I found that nature was one of the powerful healers for me. And it was also the same friend who during a snowstorm invited me over. She said, let's go to this house party where a bunch of women are going to be there. Let me get you out of the house, Carolina. I was very happy to go, but I wasn't looking to buy anything. This presentation there was a house party to sell some skin products. Actually, as I was sitting there chatting, this woman says, why are you here? Your skin is so nice. Why do you need skin products? And then my friend who's doing the presentation, she gets up and she started talking about her sales pitch. I was very happy to be there, just out of the house, but then all of a sudden she says, we women need to support each other. I was like, yes, yes! I was so excited. I was like, yes, let's do this. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we're gonna definitely get together. Who wants to come to my house next week? We'll do some lunch or dinner or coffee or margaritas. I just knew I wanted to have a sisterhood because when I started, the divorce process a year earlier, I kind of walked away from my ex-husband's family. Now we're kind of in this situation, but I walked away from the family, and not all of my friends were on board with my divorce because it was a sudden decision. So here I am, surrounded by women, all inspired, but that same night, as we were driving home and I'm about to be dropped off, I got this download, this whisper in my head. It was like, Goddesshood. I was like, Goddess, I heard that. So when I went home, I went up to my office, and the first thing that I did was to look that up what I meant, and I couldn't find anything. But then I said, I'm gonna register that name. I like it. I was already learning about goddesses. I was participating online in some circles. There was some organizations that hosted full moon circles. So you could, go on Zoom and experience like a meditation. And I really liked that. I was so inspired by that. It was also about nature connection. Now we're talking about the moon and doing these gatherings during the full moon. So there I am, goddesshood. What does that mean? To me, it wasn't goddesses in pedestals or anything like that, but it was pretty much, I'm a goddess. We are divine inside of us. So why not create some goddess circles? I wanted to do that. I wanted to now create this experience that I've been seeing online and exploring. Let me try to do this. So those girls from that party never they looked at me like I had two heads when they said, let's gather. So none of them wanted to come to my party, but I invited a few friends. And I said, I'm going to start this thing, this goddess circle. We sat around the house, we had some lunch, but I said, that's not quite it. So I went on a mission to find out how I would host circles. I went to a pagan circle, which was a divine feminine circle, but we're sitting in a format where women can share, have the directions and different things. I was like, I don't understand the culture. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Brazil, so I don't know how to do that. I went to different circles here and there, and then I decided to pick up a little bit from each one and do my own style. I decided that I don't need it to know everything about hosting a circle, but I could be an exquisite hostess. I could probably be a great space holder. And you know what? There's a lot that I wanted to learn, so let me bring some guest speakers so I can actually learn and bring this to the people in my circle. So, and why circle? Circle is, by the way, I love nature, and this transformation, this goddesshood, was actually founded in 2016. I started hosting circles in my home, and before I knew, I had a guest speaker who had a huge following. I decided now to take the circles in nature because I love nature and was part of my biggest healer. When we are in nature, we're able to reconnect with ourselves almost instantly. This guest speaker came to me and said, Carolina, can I bring men? Can I bring drummers? And I said, yes, yes. So that was for my surprise, she also brought the TV. So we had camera crew and everything. And then we had about 100 people that showed up to that event. So now Goddesshood is growing. This is just a shot from one of the most recent circles. That's pretty much the setting. The circle means there's no beginning and no end, and there's no hierarchy. And as a space holder, what I do, I create a sacred space so people can drop down. Drop down meaning they can relax and trust. It's a moment for you to reset, to reflect, and to restore, and to see if you can get the answers for yourself. I'm not there to be their guru. I'm not there to tell them what to do. I'm a space facilitator. I'm there so they can find what they're looking for on their own. I can hold the space so they can explore. So my journey as a photographer and now space holder spiraled to something really amazing. About 2 years ago, I decided that it's time to unite my photography with goddesshood. Those are my two passions. And before I realized, being a space holder is so much more. I have helped so many women through my photography as a space holder with a camera. Now it's time that I become even more intentional with my movement. So I have worked with women like Erin, who in the corporate world, a very masculine world, she was shut down in a boardroom. Her voice was lost. We use this experience to celebrate her femininity and represent herself in this very patriarchal world. Actually, one of the scenes that we did for her to represent her cathartic transformation and reclaim her voice, on top of the hill, we did some tapping and screaming. We tied a rope around her neck, and we had a ceremony to release it. This is just one of the ways that I express my spiritual portraits in Goddesshood. We're multidimensional. This is Marcy. And in the midst of the chaos in her life, she wanted to find the calmness in the waters of Long Island. We express Marcy in many different ways. She's a healer and a coach. This is Shaylin, a beautiful woman who was challenged by her marriage and wanting to ask for divorce. She's a conscious parenting coach, wanting to find her confidence again, because we women, we're master adapters. We lose ourselves in our roles, whether you're a mom, your daughter, a caretaker. We lose ourselves at work. And we suppress who we are. But in nature, we can be playful. We can actually reflect when we pause and decide if you are on your masculine or your feminine. The balance, I realize, is not in the middle. The balance is different for each one of us. Whether you're a woman or a man, we have in each other the masculine and the feminine. We have to be more on our masculine to drive results, to perform, to be more logical. In the feminine, we are caretakers. We're creative, we're intuitive, we're flexible. We also very attuned to the cycles of nature, right? The ebb and flow of the ocean. We're attuned to the moon cycles. No wonder why they call our cycles the moon cycles, right? Any lunatics here besides me? We have the elements in nature and the seasons that also metaphorically can represent the cycles that we go through life, from our youth being in our summer spirit, creative and bubbly, to going through motherhood, which is a very creative part of our lives, to going to becoming a wise woman and wanting more purpose in life. Our energies change as the nature changes. Now, if you were to take a moment to reflect, where are you in your life, and how are you adapting yourself to meet the need of others? If you could reflect a little, think about this. Where are you holding back? Where are you holding from being more intuitive and less rigid? How can you go back and return to your femininity? How are you connecting with the cycles of nature? How can you honor the season of your life that you're in right now? These lessons are important, and they matter because once we understand our adaptability, we can now pause and reflect, so you can return to yourself. When we embrace our divine feminine, we balance creativity, flow with drive. And when we reconnect with nature, we tap into a source of renewal and strength, and we honor all the ranges of emotion and all the seasons in life. Change isn't something to fear. It's part of who we are as women. Unlike men who are linear in energy, we fluctuate. And when we acknowledge that, it's kind of nice. It's actually nice. We do change. Might as well embrace the changes. Might as well celebrate the changes. So the Goddesshood birthed the Goddesshood Photography Project for women through my space holding with my camera and the process that we use ahead of time. Allow women to reflect where they are. Allow women to explore how they wanted to express their energies. And allow women to now step into nature and experience the beauty that it is and be a force of nature themselves. So today I invite you, if you wanted to celebrate who you are as a woman, if you wanted to explore what's next in your life, if you wanted to reconnect with your inner self and your inner light, if you wanted to just have a beautiful experience in nature with me during sunrise or sunset, in your favorite place, we can adorn your goddess. We can celebrate who you are now. Or we can even use the photo shoot experience to express who you wanted to become. There's so many possibilities. If you feel like you don't love yourself anymore, I can hold space for you and hold beauty for you with my lens and with my space holding until you can see that for yourself. Thank you so much. And if you wanted to explore Goddesshood photo shoot, the website is carolinalunalphotography.com. And I'm here to support you in your goddesshood. Whether you wanted to go to the beach, be childlike and connect with nature, if you wanted to run in the fields, explore the trees and climb trees, or if you wanted to be a goddess with the gown flying in the air with the wind, we'll design an experience that's just divine, just like you are. Thank you.